I couldn't
So
breathe.
then from the courtroom, you get put in handcuffs?
Yep, right
First
there.
time?
Right. No, definitely not the first time. I was a troublemaker growing up. Like
Understood.
I was always the kid who got like caught. Like the whole party would run, and somehow I would be the one that got caught by the cops. Like literally every time. So it wasn't the first, but I mean that was like.
You're serious.
I remember turning around to my mom and wanting to give her a hug, and they ripped me away from her. Like I wasn't like once that gavel comes down, you don't touch nothing. And I remember hearing her her shriek, and then it was just.
And then where'd you go from there?
Right in, they shuffle you out into a side room. There's an elevator. You're on your way to Camden County or Atlantic County.
So you go to county
Justice
first?
Complex. Yes, I was in there
For how long were you in there?
a couple weeks, about 5-6 weeks.
So those first 5-6 weeks, what was that like for you?
Well, I remember like it was extremely overcrowded. No surprise. For the first couple nights, I slept out in like the day room on the floor.
What was the racial composition?
Mostly black. I'd probably say 80%. And then
It's Atlantic County?
Atlantic County.
And what's the racial composition in Atlantic County?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely not 80% black.
Yeah.
That's for sure in terms of population. But
Yeah.
You have Atlantic City right there, and again, all these guys are in county. They're on stupid charges.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, some of them are probably selling weed and getting 6 months or whatever, or some stupid crap.
And then what's obviously at that point, you're going to get transferred to a state prison. Which state prison were you going to? And how does the transfer from a county prison to a state prison feel for a person? Because you're with people that are getting out in a little while. And
it was all like the beginning was such a blur, where it's just like you're just trying to learn how to survive. Like it's a different set of rules in there.
were you doing push-ups and sit-ups every night?
Yeah. I was working out a couple times a day, because that was immediately I realized that was like the only thing that nobody could take from me. Like no matter what, like first day I'm in there with like 3X pants and like a 4X shirt, looking like a little girl walking around there with like one shoe, and because it was like, fuck you, dude. Like nobody cares about you here. Like, your pants don't fit.
Height and
Sorry.
weight at that point?
170 pounds, 6 foot.
Okay. What do you weigh today?
240 something.
It's so funny because and I saw somewhere was saying you weighed like 180 or something. Like, there's no way that guy's 180.
No, 240, give or take.
So you were 80 pounds less, 70 pounds less, right?
Yeah, I was a string bean.
Yeah.
And you get along. Most people in there, like, there's this idea that like everybody in prison is gonna like kill you, and that's not it. Like most of these guys are just as pissed off about being there as you are, and they want to go home just as much as you. So most people mind their business.
Where'd you go after that? Where'd you get transferred to?
So I got sent to what's called CRAF. I don't even know if they have it anymore. Central Reception and Assignment Facility. And that's where you go. That's the first stop state, and that's just like a processing unit, where you're in a cell 23 hours a day. You get three juice boxes and 3 little tiny meals a day, and you sit there. Some people sit there for upwards of a year, waiting for a bed at
How
whatever
long were you
prison.
there?
I was there 3 weeks, and then they moved me to the permanent unit at CRAF, which is a small unit with only like 88 guys, and they're like the kitchen workers there. They're the
job?
The shit sweepers. Yeah, I was. They wanted me to be the clerk for, what do they call the church in these places? The chaplain. Excuse me. They wanted me to be the clerk for the chaplain because I was proficient in computers and this and that. So I was there, and that was like a sweet thing. Like it was like, oh man, like you get lucky if you're there, because you're on a unit with 88 guys.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to be there. So everybody's usually on their best behavior. You're not a security threat, so you have more things, tangible items, TV. Like some places there's no TV, some places there's no this.
What was the racial composition of that unit?
Definitely more balanced.
Interesting.
It was kind of balanced all the way across. Like you had, it was almost like 25%, 25%, 25%, like Asian, Latino, black, and white. Whatever. It was probably a little skewed, but definitely different than general population.
When did you move into general population?
So I was there at this craft place for a month, and I was working for the clerk, or for the chaplain, and she had me go onto her computer because she needed me to fix something. And at the time, Like literally 2 minutes later, like a lieutenant walks in, and that computer was hooked up to the internet, and that was a big no-no. She didn't think about it. She didn't realize, like, she was having trouble like opening up Word file or something stupid. You know what I mean? She's an older woman, so she's like, "Can you help me?" So I sat down, and in walks a lieutenant, and they locked me up and throw me in solitary confinement for trying to access the internet.
Wow. How long?
I think I was up there for like 3 weeks, and it was the middle of the summer,
Make it
on
crazy.
the third floor. Yeah, because you don't know where you're going. You're not staying there. You violated the facility, and you know, I think she got transferred to another facility as well. Like, it was a big no-no. I think the guy was kind of being a hard ass about it, you know, but you have those people. You know, you have your ball breakers.
And did you ever wind up in a general population state?
Yes. So that at that point I went to what's called Garden State Youth Correctional Facility, which New Jersey has youth prisons, which is anyone between the ages of 18 to 30 falls into a youth prison. There's 3 of them. And the idea is they have more funding for vocational skills and stuff like that, because the idea is, okay, these are first, second time offenders. They're younger. Maybe we can fix these people. But in a lot of cases, those are not places you want to be, because everybody's young, dumb, and full of testosterone. And you got all these hard asses in there who are like doing a 3-year sentence, and they're gangbangers, and they don't give a fuck. They know they're going to be out in 9 months.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. You know, you have more activities. They have school. You know,
What kind of prisoner would you say you were? Did you get in a lot of fights? Did you have any issues?
Well, yeah, you get in your first fight. You know, unless you want to live a miserable sentence, you know, you have to at some point stand up for yourself. Yeah, and
what happened? What was it? Where were you? Remember?
First unit I got onto, and basically I sat down waiting for my room assignment, and you know, the New Jersey prison, at least at the time, I think it's probably unchanged. But prisons are different everywhere you go, depending on the population. New Jersey has a very high blood population. You know, the Bloods have they just have numbers on everybody, so they're the most powerful gang. So they'll send one of their younger guys over, and he's like, "Listen, man, you know, welcome to the unit. They're all friendly. You know, this is how we do things here. Everybody chips in. You know, everybody chips in. You're going to chip in like $20 every commissary, and we just make sure nothing happens." And he's like, "You know, if anything happens, don't worry, we got your back." And I'm like, you know, and I started joking with him, you know, because I knew what it was. That's not, everybody doesn't chip in. Yeah. You know, the white guy who they think is going to have tons of money on his books is going to get exploited, or we're going to steal your shit, is what that says. And that's called charging rent. You know, so I asked him, I said, you know, do utilities come with that? And he didn't understand the joke. And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "You're going to charge me rent?" And he's like, "It's not rent." He's like, "No." He's like, "We just work together." I'm like, "Well, how much do you pay?" He's like, "I don't pay." I'm like, "Oh, well, that sounds kind of like a fucking scam to me." And he's like, "Well, listen," he's like, "you can pay or not." He's like, "But if you don't pay, like, we're not going to help you out if anything happens to you." I'm like, "So you're not going to help me out if you steal my shit?" Like, is basically what you're saying. And he laughed and walked away. I watched who he went and talked to, you know, and I went and talked to that guy afterwards and basically said, like, "Listen, I'm not paying you guys anything." And he's like, and the higher ups are smarter, you know what I mean? They're usually quieter guys, you know, like, and he's like, "Listen, man," he's like, "think of us as a Sloman Shield." You know, he's like, "We just make sure nothing happens." And it's like, and I told him, I said, "Listen, I appreciate you guys trying." I said, "But
that's
like,
a good marketing campaign."
Yeah, like I said, like a lot of these guys are like, they're not, you know, the stigma is like gangbangers are dumb. Like, they're not, you know what I mean? Like, these guys know what they're doing. And they know who's who and what's what and what they can get out of who. You know, so I basically said, "Listen, I'm not paying you." And he's like, "All right, well, have fun." You know, so I knew right then and there I had to either do something or wait until something happened. So, you know, I just told the dude, like, "All right, let's go to the day room." You know, you go out of the cop site to the day room, and you know, he looked at me. He's like, "You're not going to get a fair fight." And I was like, "Okay." You know,
Get it over with.
Yeah, so we got it over with, and I got my ass beat. You know,
Several people.
Yeah, you know, got my head kicked and soccer kicked and stomped and got my ribs kicked, but you hurt one of them, and you know, the idea is that fighting in prison is something where everybody goes to solitary. So everybody involved goes to solitary confinement if you get caught.
What, yeah.
So for these guys, knowing that I'm going to fight them for my stuff, it's like there's a million other people that'll just say
Won't
yes.
fight 'em. Correct.
So that's once you kind of get that first one out of the way. Like you might have to come across it later, like if you're a gambler or this or that, or you put yourself in those situations. But I was only in 2 fights the whole time. That one, and then there was another one that was just kind of unavoidable. It was just chaos, and it was like you just kind of had to defend yourself.
Did you meet any people in there you became good friends with?
My best friend.
Your best friend? Who's that?
His name's Evan Merkozak.
Okay. What was he in for?
He got caught up years and years and years ago. I think he was selling like prescription pills or something. And they banged him pretty hard. He came from a nice area, but he and I became friends, and that wasn't until I got transferred to another prison, which was up in Annandale, New Jersey, which is like the northwest part of New Jersey. Another youth correctional facility. I had gotten into it with some of the white supremacists at Garden State.
It's interesting because when you were having your
Oh yeah, I'm a white supremacist. Yeah.
When you first had the protest, I live right around the corner from there.
Yeah.
I drove there, and there's a couple people who are like known white supremacists that were in the parking lot out there.
Yeah, one of them handed me a fucking
handed you
megaphone.
the megaphone, yeah. Well, I say that because I had been kind of looking into that person for a while, and I was like, and I was the one. I don't know if you saw the Governor Murphy fake videos of Governor Murphy doing the impersonation. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's me. That's why I said, tell the white supremacists in the parking lot to go the fuck home.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so
you're not a white supremacist?
Not a bit.
So what was the problem you had with the area? And listen, and by the way, I've been in LA County, which is one of the worst places you can be.
Yeah. And there's some crazy white boys out there.
Well,
they don't play games out there.
Well, you're either a wood or you're not.
Yeah.
And it was not an easy decision to make, but I figured out that I had to be a wood or I was going to be.
Yeah, some places you literally don't have a choice.
So what
you
happened
still
to you?
have the choice.
So what happened to you?
They had been interested in kind of recruiting me. Everybody takes a crack at you.
Yeah.
Everybody, if they know you're unaffiliated, everybody's going to be your friend. Because it's a numbers game. They want.
It sounds like the Democratic and Republican parties.
No, it is. It's the same. It's the same thing. It really is. So everybody will be buddy to you. They'll feel you out, because it's like, hey, you can be an asset to these people. Even if you're just another body.
Yeah.
Even if you can't fight and you're broke and you are dumb as hell and
You can go shank someone.
yeah, you can just be another body in a fight,
Sure.
whatever. So, and I was like, nah, listen, I'm not, thanks for the invite, guys. No thanks. And I'm starting to get my sea legs at this point. I realize, okay, in prison, you got to be useful. Like, if you have something that people need, people aren't going to fuck with you.
And what did you have that people needed?
I was a law clerk.
Ah.
I was a
You
law
started
clerk.
helping people with their legal stuff.
Yeah, nobody wants to fuck with the guy who's doing their legal stuff.
No.
So I was a law clerk and I was a teacher's aide.
So you were a jailhouse lawyer.
Jailhouse lawyer, yeah, and I was a teacher's aide. So I was working with a lot of the guys that didn't want to come back. Again, a lot of these older guys that are, they're double OG, they're triple OG. These guys have done bid after bid.
When you say
after
double
bid.
OG and triple OG, what does that mean?
Ranking in their gangs. That's higher up. Or even an OG. Those are like your capo statuses.
Capo is, what does that mean?
Captain.
Captain.
Those are your higher mafioso kind of.
Understood. Like almost branches of a military.
Yeah. They mimic it. It starts whatever they start at, but
Yeah,
you get higher, and you
generals.
have lieutenants, and then you have OG is original gangster. And they have say so over a wide range of people. Double OG is above that. Blah 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 blah. But a lot of the older guys, the guy, like for instance, the guy who I said I'm not paying rent to you, and was like, whatever, have fun.
Yeah.
These are guys that they're on their third, their fourth bid. They got kids. They're in their 30s. They're, it's like they're starting to look at like, hey, maybe I should learn to read. Maybe I don't want to be away from my daughter who I don't see, or my son, or my whatever.
Any legal case that you helped with that came out really good?
Just a lot of little stuff. I mean, a lot of these guys, they get locked up and they got child support, years of it in arrears, and
Sure.
they got, or they're being penalized because they're late on child support and they're behind bars. So you write a letter and you say, hey, listen, I'm locked up. Can you at least freeze the interest? or you got guys with unresolved cases. I helped a lot of people out with little stuff. A lot of it is just like getting them linked up with public, because a lot of these guys can't read.
Sure.
And if they can read, a lot of them beyond that can't write. And they certainly can't write something that a judge is going to take seriously.
And then after, you did 5.5 years? You get out, the day you walk out of jail, who's there to meet you?
My mom.
Your mom.
Yep.
So your mom's really been there for you, buddy, huh? What's her name?
Trish.